The Edge by Roland Smith. Chapter 10, Part 1, Peace. I open my eyes and see bright red. It's warm. I look at my watch, 10:32 a.m. Late. My legs hurt from the scree. My shoulders hurt from hauling packs. A girl is laughing. It could be Alessia. I've never heard her laugh. I'm hungry. I crawl out into the sunlight. It's cooler outside my tent. A breeze is coming up from the river. Mom was standing next to the fire, talking quietly with Ebedula and Elam. Apparently, they spoke English as well as Pashtun. I heard the laughter again. It was coming from the river. Cindy, but a very different Cindy. She was wearing a red tank top and shorts. She was sitting on a flat rock, dangling her feet in the water and looking like she was enjoying herself. Sitting next to her, also soaking his feet, was Ethan. Uh-oh. No one else was awake. I joined Mom at the fire. Elam and Ebedula were not speaking English or Pashtun. They were speaking French. So was Mom. Fluently, as far as I could tell. You speak French? Obviously. You never told me. There are a lot of things I never told you. Elam handed me a mug of strong hot tea. Do you speak any other languages? A couple, Mom answered. My next question should have been which ones, but I didn't go there. I was impressed that she had held this back. I thought I knew everything about Mom. I was glad I didn't. Cindy seems to be in a better mood today. Ethan is working his charm, which is not going to make this camp any happier. This could get ugly. You mean uglier. Exactly. Have Ebedula and Elam told you what they're doing out here? French embassy, bodyguards to Mademoiselle Alessia Charbonneau, daughter to the ambassador. In fact, I just spoke to the ambassador. The sat phones work? They worked for a few minutes, long enough for Ebedula and Elam to check in and for me to tell the ambassador that her daughter is doing fine. Then it went out again, which is not unusual in this area, according to Elam and Ebedula. I looked toward the river. And Cindy missed the window? Afraid so. I was about to tell her we were back in business when the signal failed. We were just saying that it would probably be best to keep our brief sat blip between us. Otherwise, Cindy will spend the entire day fiddling with the phone and draining Philip's battery further than it already is. Speaking of Philip, I pointed. Philip had just stumbled out of his tent. His hair was sticking up all over the place. He looked like he hadn't gotten enough sleep. He walked over to us, rubbing his eyes. Have you seen Cindy? Mom pointed to the river. Cindy laughed and punched Ethan in the shoulder. Philip scowled, then looked at the mugs we were holding. Is that coffee? Tea. I need coffee, and I want to head out in an hour. Wake Zopa and tell him to have everyone ready to go. We'll be spending the night at the cliff they scouted yesterday, so you need to bring your gear. With his bum foot, Ethan will have to stay here. I want you to take his place as the film crew's climbing advisor. He stamped back to his tent. Trouble, Mom said. Bonjour! Alessia stepped out of her tent, waving, with a happy smile on her beautiful face. Unlike Philip, she looked like she had slept quite well. When she was halfway to us, Rafi caught up with her. It was obvious that he'd scrambled out of his sleeping bag as soon as he heard her. His hair looked worse than Philip's. He was wearing shorts, and his t-shirt was on backwards and inside out. He said something to her in French. Am I the only one that doesn't speak French? She laughed. I hoped it was polite laughter, and not that she really thought he was funny. Good day, mates. Glad to see you made it back in one piece. I was done in last night. Didn't even hear you come back to camp. Cindy let out another peal of giddy laughter. Rafi looked down at the river. Who's that with Cindy? Ethan Todd, I answered. You mean Sarge Todd? The bloke who claims to have taken a snowboard down McKinley? I nodded, chased by wolves at the bottom. Not bloody likely. I have a friend who was there and said that none of it was remotely true. I was surprised Rafi didn't claim to have been there himself. What's your friend's name? Mom asked. Nobody you'd probably know. Bill Weathers. He said that Todd made the whole thing up. Why is he here? Part of the film crew, I said. Sprained his ankle when the crew fell off the cliff they were scouting. He's out of commission for a couple days. Too bad, Raffi said, clearly not meaning it. I should have gone with them. You have to be careful around here. I probably could have prevented the fall. This is no place for amateurs. The film crew were not professional climbers, but they weren't amateurs either. They'd climbed all over the world carrying extra gear no pro would ever carry. Guess we'll never know if this Ethan can climb or not. Raffi grinned and looked at me. You missed the preliminary interviews last night. I heard. They went great. I think Philip's picked his stars. He looked around camp. Where is Philip? He's getting ready to leave, Mom said. We're spending the night at the chute. He wants to be on the move in an hour. I can be ready in 10 minutes. Can't wait to get some climbing in. He looked at Alessia. I'd be happy to help you with your tent and gear. No, thank you. Atta girl, Alessia. Raffi looked at the fire. Is that tea in the billy? The what? I asked. The kettle, mate. Yeah. Raffi grabbed a mug and helped himself. Aki and Homa stepped outside their tents and started stretching the night kinks out. Ethan and Cindy started making their way to the fire. Ethan had his arm around Cindy's shoulder, using her as a crutch. Both of them were grinning when they reached the fire. Cindy looked totally different with a genuine smile on her face. I'm Ethan Todd, or what's left of him. Ethan stuck his free hand out to Raffi. I got a little banged up last night. Bad luck, mate. Raffi gave Ethan's hand an unenthusiastic shake. Guess you'll be missing the climb. I heal quickly, Ethan said. I wouldn't count me out. The wheel's better than it was last night. Right, Raffi said. But you won't be going with us today, mate, not on that. That's right, Philip had returned. He was frowning at Ethan's human crutch. If all goes well tonight, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon. You'll have to hold the fort down here for a couple of days on your own. No problem. I'm happy to stay in. You can't possibly expect him to stay here alone, Cindy said. He's injured. Philip's frown deepened. Everyone is going to the cliff. What about Elam and Abdullah? They go where we go. Security. I'm not a climber or security, Cindy said. Someone needs to stay with Ethan. There's no need, Ethan said. I'll be fine on my own. You're my PA, Philip said, with his eyes still on Cindy. Everyone rolled their eyes, including Cindy. I'm staying, she said. It was obvious that Philip knew he'd lost this battle, and probably his girlfriend as well. He gave her a malicious grin. Suit yourself. Have any of you seen Zopa? I roused everyone else, but he wasn't in his tent. Everyone shook their heads, looking a little surprised. I'd often seen Zopa disappear at inopportune times on Everest. He was always climbing the mountain, but not always with us. I'm sure he'll turn up, I said. He tends to wander off. He'll be here when we need him. Philip looked at his watch. Well, I need him now. He looked at Mom. I want to leave in 20 minutes. Think you can get everyone moving in the right direction? I need to direct breaking camp. But we're not really breaking camp for several days, she said. Philip took a deep breath. Dear God, give me patience. Of course we're not breaking camp permanently today. But on the day we break camp, the weather might be lousy or something else might go wrong. We need to get our shots when we can, not necessarily in chronological order. When the video airs, it will look like first-person present tense. I'll make that happen in the editing room, not here. We're shooting raw video. The shots are like words. We'll use the shots to tell a story. It takes hours and hours of film to make 5 minutes of actual airtime. I smiled. For the first time, I kind of liked Philip. Vincent would totally understand what Philip was saying. It was exactly how Vincent explained the writing process. Philip continued talking to my mom. Let's get moving. If Zopa shows up, he can lead the group to the cliff. If he doesn't, you'll be leading them, providing you know where it is. I know where it is, but I'm a little concerned about Zopa. We might want to... Philip raised his voice. This is not summer camp. You're not a bunch of little kids. We have a limited amount of time to pull this thing off. We're not waiting on Zopa or anyone else. Let's get moving. Everyone got moving. What are you smiling about? Mom asked when we got to our tents. Philip, I think he just took charge. You can't tell people you're in charge. You have to show people, and I guess that's exactly what he just did. But I'm still worried about Zopa. He disappears, I said. He'll show up when we need him. Where do you think he is? I shrugged, but I noticed that the camel and the donkey were no longer tied up outside his tent.